Hey guys, it is great to see you again. Thanks for dropping in for another episode of Saab Talk Live, the internet's first, best, and only weekly webcast for Saab owners. I'm Lee Kelso.
I'm Mark Romisher, and this week we have a special guest talking to us from across the Atlantic Ocean in the United Kingdom, and he has a little Saab channel called Saab Unleashed, and he's going to help us talk to us about unleashing some of the mods and upgrades we can do to our Saabs.
Yeah, so tonight is all about modernizing the head unit, the radio, and some of the technology in your Saab, but not just that. So Stuart Bell's channel also takes a look at some other improvements. One of his most recent videos is one that I want to show you now about improving an interior component that you may not know that you can change.
And this is a thing of beauty. As you can see, it is very, very nicely contrasted, stitched. So that is going to look so nice instead of this plastic dashboard here. At this point, there's nothing holding it on, so we can just pull it off. And it's time for the nice new one now. Just tilt it upwards like so. And there we go.
He makes that look pretty easy, and I think that would intimidate a lot of guys, but there's a lot more that Stewart does on his channel as well. So as you said, Mark, we're going to bounce out to Peterborough, England, just north of London, not too far out of London, and meet Stuart Bell. Stuart, thanks for joining us.
Thanks,
Pleasure, and it's great to be here, and thank you for doing this channel and this thing as well. This is really cool.
Oh, thank you for your YouTube channel. I've watched a lot of pieces there, and really nice DIY stuff that you do there. It's really nice. So let me give people a quick look. Here's what his channel looks like. It is Saab Unleashed, and walk us through this the header image there. Are those your cars? Oh, Stuart, hang on a second. Your audio dropped out. Let me bring you back. There you go.
Okay. Yeah, so two of the cars, the one on the right-hand side, the new generation 9.5 is my latest car, and the one in the middle is my favorite car, the Dame Edna 9.5. The blue one was one that I actually borrowed from a guy on Facebook Marketplace. It was for sale, and I went and asked him if I could borrow it to make the video, and he said yes. So that was cool.
So your channel really isn't just focused on car audio. You cover other things as well.
Yeah, I mean, the whole point of the channel to begin with was, I'm obsessed with Saab, and the thing is, they're very quirky cars, and there's stuff that's always going wrong with them. There's always something wrong with one of them, and so I like to fix them. So the channel was originally set up so that I could show people how to fix something when it breaks. And a lot of my channels are related to that. But car audio is like a real strong passion of mine, and that's why my channel is kind of hybrid. So I've got half of my subscribers only subscribe for the car audio stuff that I do, and the other half are Saab enthusiasts who are there because they like the stuff that I do with Saabs.
And also, I would like to mention that since Stuart is joining us from the UK, it is actually 2 o'clock in the morning over there, so I would actually like to especially thank... 1 o'clock is 1 o'clock, okay, hour off, but it's very early in the morning over there, and I just want to give a special thanks to you for taking the time out of your precious day to join us. I just want to thank you for that.
No worries. As I say, I work for an American firm, so I'm often up this late on conference calls, so it's not a problem.
So you said you do more than just audio stuff on the car, and I want to show people this. So this is one of your recent videos, one of your more recent videos, and
cool.
Yeah, it is cool, isn't it? Take a look at that, the glowing sill there. So tell me about this. Where did you find this thing, and how tough was it to do?
So like most of the things that I do on Facebook, on the channel, I've found from research or from the groups that I'm in. There's loads and loads of Saab groups, and there's these guys that make things, and these aren't given to me. Like I physically asked, I wanted them, and I purchased them. The same with the dashboard as well. And these sills in particular, I mean, just look how glorious they are. Like, it's the reason why I love them is because it's not an in-your-face mod. It's not like I'm not changing the look of the Saab. All I'm doing is I'm adding something that just adds just a little bit of extra to it, and it's just an understated, nice, simple modification to the car. And the guy, that guy that makes them, he doesn't do it for a living. He works like I do, and he wanted to make something for his car, and because it came out well, he started to say, like, guys, if you want them, I'll make them for you. Like, the Saab 9.3 logo on it, for example, was something that he custom made for me, because you can have Vector or Aero or Hirsch or whatever you want on it. So I just love that, and I love to support these guys as well when they're making them, and that's why I make the video as well, because it shows the world what these guys are doing so that they can get more people to get them. But to fit it, it's very, very simple. Like, it might look like I'm taking the whole car apart and doing a mess of wires, but if you think about it, it's just a light bulb in a plastic strip. So the majority of the work is simply getting that wire from the strip to the power source, and that's what I'm doing. I'm showing in this video. Yeah.
And it's amazing that all these mods that you're showing us in your videos are actually homegrown, homemade pieces by other Saab enthusiasts. And we talked about this right before we got on air, that these are just normal guys like we are, and they're just passionate about the Saab brand, and they're making all these cool mods we can all add to our vehicles. I thought that was the most amazing thing, especially after hearing that about the dash and the actual glowing seal plates.
Exactly, and then obviously if we talk about it's the same with the leather dashboard as well. That guy, he does them. It's not his main job. Like, it's just something that he does to enhance people's vehicles. And again, it was custom made for me. I asked to have the white thread, the white cotton around the edges, because that's what I wanted, and he made it for me. And I know that was, it's probably one of the more expensive things that I've put in my car, and I will be ordering the rest. He does the other stuff as well, like to cover the handles on the car and other bits and pieces. But I wanted to look at this first, and because it's awesome, I will be ordering the rest of it. But it's just these people who just love the Saab that much that they're actually making these things to enhance the vehicles for other people. Love that. I absolutely love that.
I'm going to let this video roll there and let people watch you reinstall this. Well, that's one of the nice things I like about your channel is you show us each step of the process and kind of talk us through it. And I think that's a real confidence builder for people who would never expect that they can tear their Saab apart. But you show us kind of how it's done. And sometimes it doesn't look all that tough.
No, I mean, so this is the thing. Like, a lot of people don't want to touch their Saabs, or they think they're incapable of doing it. And Saabs and other cars, they're very, very simple. They're very, very simply put together, and they have to be assembled at some point. So generally speaking, the disassembly of these vehicles is fairly simple if you know how. So I'm trying to show, look, a couple of screws here, pop this out, pop this one in, screw it back up, and Bob's your uncle, you're done.
Oh, that's great.
That is pretty cool. And, the net effect at the end, we'll just hang out here and let people see how that looks when it's all put back together, because it does look very nice. But, Stuart, you said something interesting as we were prepping for the show, and that is the Saab experience in the UK is completely different than it is here in the US. How is that the case?
Well, in the States, if you want to buy a Saab, you need to part with a substantial amount of money, and this is apparent. I know this because obviously I'm part of lots of groups, and a lot of people sell their Saabs or are buying a Saab, and the prices are astronomical in comparison to what they are in the UK. And it's just the UK, so obviously a Saab is a European car, so naturally there's going to be more of them over here. But in the rest of Europe, Saabs are expensive. Okay, they are an expensive vehicle. But in the UK, they're generally, well, a lot of them are worthless. Okay, I was saying before, like, there's a convertible, a 2008 convertible, black, really nice. It does have a CV joint problem. Okay, but but they're selling it for £700, which I think is something like $900 or $1,000.
Yeah.
For a convertible where the roof works, and it is pretty much really nice condition. And this is the sort of thing that I'm talking about. In fact, one of my videos on my channel, I say I bought a Saab. I bought a Saab 9.3 for £360. Okay, and it was a road legal Saab 9.3. It had reverse sensors, and it had an ICM3, like the high-end navigation system that people sell in the States for like $500. I got it in this car that I bought it for £360, and it's still, my sister owns it now. Like it is a beautiful car. Yeah, it's the Saabs over here. There's sort of a dual ownership situation happening here. You've got the people that own them just because they're cheap cars, who don't really care, and they just drive them because they're reliable and cheap. And then you've got the people who really appreciate the beauty and the comfort and the accessories and the features and et cetera, like me.
And is there a strong Saab community over there?
Yes, there is. We have a really, really strong community. I mean, there's the official Saab Owners Club, and then we've got masses of Facebook groups where people will frequently meet with their Saabs. Yeah, I mean, there's a specific Facebook group, Great Western Saabs. It's a group of Saab individuals that have been around for many, many years, probably before Facebook. And one of the co-founders, his name is David Dallimore, creates this. This is like a Forfina. Like I want everyone to understand what this is. Like this is a free magazine that you can get online. I think it's Forfina.online or something. I can't remember what I'll have to find out what it is. But
I'll write that down.
It's a magazine which is written by Saab enthusiasts. And it is basically a Saab porno magazine because there is so much amazing stuff in here. All of these stories that you can see in here are people who own these vehicles who wanted to tell people about it and wanted to write. So every year, David puts together all of these stories and these really high-resolution photos, and also has the online magazine, which is free for everyone, but then you can also own a physical copy of it.
Nice.
And he only does a run of however many people order it. So this one, like you can see, 56 people ordered it, and this is number 8 of 56.
Wow.
And he signed it as well. Yeah, if you have your Saab story and you want to tell people about it, and you want something pretty in this one, mine is in here somewhere as well. So it had to be done. But yeah, this is just glorious. Like he does this. This is like profit. He doesn't profit from this. He just does it for the love of Saab. Yeah. Everyone just reads it for the love of Saab. Like this is proper Saab enthusiast stuff. So yeah, there's a really, really good community over here with regards to Saabs.
I'm having a challenge. Go ahead, Mark. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, stop making us feel like we're living on the wrong continent over here. Oh my goodness.
I'm having trouble getting comments up tonight, but Tyler chimed in and said it's very similar to the Nines magazine, which is the publication of the Saab Owners Club over here. And that's now available. And I will send you a PDF copy of that, Stuart, just so you can have a look at that. Yeah,
we have a Saab Owners Club as well. Which these are the official ones from the Saab Owners Club as well in the UK.
Yeah. Hey, I want to jump into another one of your videos because it's pretty interesting, and this I think gets into some of the updates that people saw in your car. So we just saw in your convertible there, you've got a pretty snazzy looking either. I don't know, is that Apple Carplay or Android Auto head unit there?
In the black convertible?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a TI's Android-based head unit. Okay, now it does have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Okay, but it's an Android head unit, and that's the best software that you can buy on any head unit, any brand of head unit. That's crazy. And one of my videos, that convertible, that black convertible, is the only Saab in the world that I'm aware of that has a 360-degree parking system, because it's got cameras on the mirrors, on the front and the rear. And when you look at that TIES unit, it shows you the car from above. And when you're driving, you can see everything around. When you're parking, it shows you from above. It is that is like the best possible head unit. Now, I was in two minds about putting it in because it sits on top of the dash instead of inside it.
Right.
I can't use my cup holder anymore because the cup holder needs clearance to come out and twist around. So I don't have the cup holder anymore. But I do actually have one of these. This is a Saab 9.3 smart socket. Like in the center console, there's a smart socket, and this is a cup holder, which I haven't fitted yet. This was given to me actually by another Saab enthusiast because they're legends. So yeah, I'm going to fit that, and that means I get my cup holder back. But yes, that's a really amazing system that I have in my car in the black convertible.
So the other piece of work that I saw you do that I want to share with people is changing out and inserting a new screen in a head unit. And so you really get into the weeds here and taking these pieces apart. You're doing some surgery on these things.
Yeah, that's a different situation because there's a lot of people that own Saabs from 2000. So sorry, specifically the Saab 9.3, and that's the wagon, the sedan, and the convertible. And the problem with these particular cars is that you can't take the radio out and change it like you would in any other car, and that's because the radio, the thing that looks like a radio, isn't. It's a computer in the car, and it controls your reverse sensors, it controls your automatic wipers, or any other features of your car basically go through it. It's called an ICM, which is an infotainment control module. So if you take it out, the car won't start, which basically really limits your options to upgrade the radio in it. So it's not impossible, and I have got a video on how to actually install an aftermarket radio, but it takes an enormous amount of rewiring, and you need to refabricate the dashboard as well. It's just a crazy thing. So I wanted to give something to the Saab community, and so this is what I did. I went through lots and lots of different ways to try to fix this. Okay, so obviously this EICM3 has got a screen. So I was thinking like, okay, well, what if I just leave everything as it is and we just replace the screen and give ourselves some additional features? So originally what I did was I bought a shitload, a lot of mobile phones, and I tried to find one that had the specific dimensions, not only for the body of it, but also the screen to try to fit it in. Because if I could put an Android phone in it, then that means that you've got internet access and you can watch YouTube and you can listen to Spotify and all of this stuff. And I did that originally. But then it ended up being the Logitech, the LG G3. But the problem was it was an old phone and you couldn't buy them anymore. Like, they don't really exist anymore. So it wasn't a long-term solution. So then I found a guy who creates software for the Raspberry Pi, which is a mini computer, which allows you to have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and that was instantly the perfect possible thing for these cars. And then all I had to do was find the right screen size. So I found this particular LCD display, which is a 5.5-inch capacitive touch screen, connected to the Raspberry Pi. It connects to the aux in on the car, so you're not tampering with the audio whatsoever. You still got your radio, you still got your steering wheel controls, but instead of just your basic, like, old rubbish satellite navigation system, you now have all of the digital audio. You have your up-to-date Google Maps, Waze, like whatever you want.
It's pretty impressive to see you go through all of this, and you do really a nice job of reducing the intimidation factor.
Yeah, I mean, because I really want people to understand what we're doing here. Like, you're not going to break anything, because all you're doing is you're removing a part of the device which is not required. You're removing an LCD display, okay, and it's just a screen. You don't need it anymore. So all you're doing is popping another screen in its place and putting the thing back together again. So this is completely separate from the Saab. So all you're doing is you're powering this thing, and the only thing that's actually different is that you've put something, a different display inside your existing display. But the reason why people love it, apart from the fact that it's very easy, it's the easiest possible option, even though it looks really complicated here. It is the easiest option to get something decent in your car. But it keeps the stock look, and I really love the look of the ICM3 in the Saab 9.3s. It's classy, and you get to keep that look with this as well.
Now,
Yeah.
based on the Raspberry Pi you're using in the video there, I saw that, is that the Raspberry Pi 4 with the dual mini HDMI display outputs?
Yes, I use the Raspberry Pi 4 because it's required for wireless Android Auto and wireless Apple CarPlay. You can install this stuff on the Raspberry Pi 3, but it would be wired, and the Pi doesn't give enough power to charge the phone as well as have it connected, so it had to be the 4.
So
Awesome.
Tyler had asked a question about the diesel Saabs that you guys have over there that I don't know that I've ever seen one in the United States. Are they popular? How do they perform? I assume they're very torquey.
Yeah. I mean, 2 of my Saabs are diesel.
Oh, they are?
The convertible, the black convertible that we were talking about is a diesel. It's got a 1.9 liter, 150 brake horsepower engine, and if I was to remap it, it would go to 210 horsepower. Although it's got 150,000 miles on the clock, so I'm like, should I remap it? Probably not.
Yeah.
No, they're ridiculously fast. I mean, you wouldn't think it, but this is the thing that you guys in America, you don't have a lot of diesel cars, but they're crazy. I mean, they are truly crazy in things. My Saab new generation 9.5, the new 2010 model, is also a diesel engine, and that one's pretty quick as well. Obviously, my favorite car is the petrol 9.5 Dame Edna with the 2.3 liter aero engine, which is just beautiful. B235R. That's a crazy car, crazy. But the diesel cars are awesome.
So do people think you're odd being in love with Saab to the extent that you are over there? I mean, it's kind of we're odd over here, so it wouldn't be any different, right?
I get some people call Saab 9.3 convertibles skips. A skip is a what do you call those big metal bins that you throw all your trash in?
A dumpster?
A dumpster, yeah. So they basically call.
Oh no!
Some people, you have to remember that in the UK, Saabs are effectively worthless. In some cases, like if you get really nice ones, then they do retain their value. But there's a lot of Saabs for less than £1,000, a lot, so people don't have the same. And there's a lot of Saabs. You have to understand that we're in Europe, we're in the UK. There's a lot of Saabs, so it's a different thing. It just depends on the general person. If they're going to buy a car, they're going to think Mercedes. It's a dead brand. You have to remember Saab doesn't exist anymore. So people will go for BMWs and Mercedes, etc., over a Saab, which is a shame.
What's funny is I like to make an analogy. It sounds like Saabs over in the UK are like tea biscuits in a coffee shop. They're just everywhere. I mean, that's pretty much the idea. And unfortunately, here in the United States, the proliferation of Saabs is mostly in the East Coast, and then as you head further west, it becomes less and less. But we still have clubs that are in the western part of the United States, California, Washington State, that we do hear from. But really, in New England, that's where the density of Saabs is really there. But apparently, even in New England, we can't compare with the UK when it comes to Saab per capita. That's awesome.
There is a lot of them. I mean, I'm assuming that it's the same across Europe. But as I say, Saabs actually cost quite a lot of money in the rest of Europe, and it's because of left-hand drive. Okay,
Right.
So you guys are left-hand drive as well. But as soon as it becomes a right-hand drive car, which is what we drive over here, it instantly becomes worthless.
I was just going to ask that question. Is it because they're righties and there's limited demand for them? Do you have problem getting any parts for righties? I mean, obviously the mechanical parts are all the same, right?
Nah, it's all the same. It's literally so like a lot of people ask me to send them ICM3s from the UK because they're very cheap over here compared to everywhere else, but I can't because they are different, because they're designed differently, because left and right hand ICM3s are different. But every part of that car is identical in the US than it is over here in Europe, apart from obviously the diesels, which you don't have. But yeah, everything else is identical.
Well, tell me some more about car culture in the UK. Is that a big thing? I mean, we watch over here some of the UK car shows. I mean, obviously, the Wheeler Dealers, we talked about that earlier. That's a pretty big show over here. There's some other British car shows that are pretty big over here.
Yeah.
Is there a big car culture in the UK?
Yeah, massive car culture, and that's one of the reasons why the Saab, the UK Saab scene is so good, is because of the love of. I think it's a human thing. Like, what a car is just an enormous, like, extension of you. Like, it's a mechanical thing which transports you, and it's just something that you can personalize. It's the next biggest thing that you can own next to a property, a house. So it's like, I think it's a natural human thing to love your car, and it doesn't matter. Like, there's a big Ford scene in the UK, and we have different Fords than you have over in the States. And my friend who has a Saab 9.3 also has a Mustang GT 5.0, and like, there's a Mustang. Even that's an American thing. They're very rare over here, but there's a scene just for them. Like, every car has its own group of people that love it. But the main, I've been involved in a lot because I've owned a lot of cars. But the Saab is very different, and that the people that are involved in the Saabs are very, very different, because there's a history to Saab, and there's a very unique. They're just very unique people, the people who love the Saabs, and it's very community based, and it's very tight knit, and people help each other, and it's great. And obviously, there's some people that like argue that Saab didn't. It was destroyed by GM, and like, there's some that kind of discussion has happened. But that really annoys me, okay, because all of the Saabs that drew me into the brand came out after GM had taken over, and it's in my opinion that GM saved Saab, and because it would have been dead a long time before. If GM didn't take them over. And the 9.3 and the 9.5, which really brought me into the world of Saab, were created with the help of GM as well. So, but this is a sort of conversation. There are intellectual conversations that we have around the history of Saab and how things are. So I enjoy it. It's just a brilliant brand and a brilliant community.
Man, we so agree on the community side of things, right, Mark?
Absolutely. I was going to say one tidbit I wanted to share is that, going along with that theme, is that if you're not familiar, the famous 2.8T V6 engine that was designed for the 2006 9.3s and up was actually a cumulative project between GM and Holden. And unfortunately, Holden, which is now unfortunately a defunct brand in Australia, originally designed that engine, and then it showed up in not only the Saab 9.3s, the Saab 9.4X, and as well as the I think it was in combination of wagons and sedans or saloons and cabriolets, as you call them.
Yeah.
But that's just another tidbit of how cooperation among those companies that gave us something even better. So definitely understand your theme there.
Yeah, the engine in my classic 900 started out in Triumph, right? I think we had a guest recently who referred to it as a hand grenade with a blue valve cover.
Yes. But a lot of engines, like I think the B205 and the B235 originated from Saab themselves, and it was used in some other vehicles. So Saab has had some involvement in the progression of other vehicles as well. And those engines are amazing as well. Like, just bulletproof engines that you get in those Saabs. I love them.
Well, hey, we try to keep these to 30 minutes, my friend, and I think we are there. So I'm going to say goodbye. But with this invitation that when you have a cool project that you think people would like to know more about, tag me and let's love to have you come back and share more of what you're doing on your channel. I sure appreciate that.
Yeah, cool. Thank you very much for having me. It's been enjoyable.
Oh, you bet. And so once again, that channel is this one right here. It is Saab Unleashed by Stuart Bell, and you'll find a lot of really cool stuff on that channel. So I do think you ought to drop by, have a look, give him a subscribe, and maybe we'll be lucky enough to have him back in the future. Stuart, again, my thanks to you.
Thank you very much.
All right. Well, Mark, you're there on the East Coast. Another blizzard coming your way, I understand. Is that going to hit you this weekend?
Yeah, they're saying that it's going to be snow and ice and all kinds of wonderful things. But, with the last few ice storms, well, actually snowstorms we've had, it hasn't been too bad. But they're saying this one's supposed to be different. But I'm going to reserve my judgment until we're in the middle of it. But I got to say, I'm definitely keeping an eye on the weather. So just want to make sure we get our bread, milk, and eggs before that sucker hits.
Well, you've got the right car for it no matter what comes, right? So yeah,
Absolutely.
Your car was built to run in that stuff. So that's cool. All right, guys, we will see you next week, I hope, right here on Saab Talk Live. Mark, take care of yourself. We'll see you next week.
You take it easy. Everyone have a great week.